you're a single guy, you might have noticed a little pattern whereby you avoid women that you're attracted to so that others don't think of you as shallow. I've noticed this come up with quite a few of my clients lately. This kind of avoidance of people they're attracted to because they don't want to be judged as being superficial or being somebody who judges people based on their looks and that kind of thing. Ironically, these clients then focus on people they're unattracted to, kind of deliberately making a public statement by talking to and selectively spending their time with people they don't find attractive, people they judge as unattractive. Which is ironic because they're still being shallow. They're still judging someone based on looks and making decisions based on their appearance alone. Now in your head, you're this noble knight who only judges people based on their personality and doesn't take looks into account because you're above all that. In reality, you're scared of two things. One, other people judging you. And two, you actually going for what you want. You actually following through on your desire and facing a rejection from someone you find attractive. That's the real reason you're doing this. To have a clear preference for someone and then not show it, or deliberately pretend to not have that preference, is a lie. So your nobility is really nothing more than dishonesty. To even deliberately deceive people into thinking that looks don't matter to you and they're not as important as they clearly are in here is another lie. So if you're going to break out of this pattern of you sabotaging your potential for romantic connections, you're going to have to face the truth and stop lying to people. Now on one hand, we have to acknowledge you do have a healthy idea in mind. Deep down you kind of know it's fucked up to judge people based on their appearance, to get so worked up about someone just because of their physical aesthetic. So you're on the right track in terms of that's not healthy either, but you kind of don't really know what to do with it because it's real for you. The way we perceive someone's appearance, the attractiveness rating that we give to someone, is 100% conditioning. Only a few hundred years ago, what we considered attractive was really overweight and really pasty and white. Why? Because that's how rich women looked. Okay, they didn't have to do anything, they had servants all the time. The kind of tanned and toned that we generally appreciate now is what peasants used to look like. We used to think that was ugly. So for those of you watching this video thinking, but yeah, physical attractiveness is a real thing. Actually, you've just been trained to do it. What you think of as attractive is directly a result of the culture you've been raised in, the media you've been exposed to. If you were raised as a Maasai warrior in Africa, you would find tall, skinny and bald to be very attractive. If you were raised in Samoa, big is beautiful. You'd find overweight people in your judgment to be attractive. So it really just comes down to where you're from. We just like what we've been taught to like. A great example in the image that you can see here, this is a Persian princess if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember from which time. Now the story goes that up to 8 guys committed suicide because of her rejection. Now if you're looking at her and you don't find her attractive, then you have to acknowledge that in different parts of the world, different cultures and different times, attractiveness is totally subjective. So on that one hand, you realize that judging people based on their appearance is basically a form of hypnotism. You're just following the conditioning and program that you've had drilled into you. On the other hand, if you want to deal with this properly, it's not going to happen by being dishonest about it. You're going to have to face the fact that while rationally you can say it's wrong to judge people on their looks, emotionally you are doing it. And that hasn't changed with this rational awareness. So first you have to start with what's true for you, which is you find certain people more attractive than others, you feel a preference towards them, and you're worried about being judged for that preference. With appearance comes a whole range of narratives. I know some guys, when the more attracted they are to a girl, the more they think of her as a bitch or stuck up. There's others who, the more attracted they are to a girl, they start to worship her, play this goddess kind of role. Other guys see them as a piece of meat that they need to have sex with. Others see them as this kind of untouchable idol that cannot be besmirched, and on and on. These narratives, and what they all have in common is this idea that someone who's attractive is somehow different to other normal human beings. And that's your problem. Once you actually start engaging meaningfully with people you're attracted to, you'll slowly start to see the truth, that they are a wide range of normal human beings. Some of them you'll like, some of them you'll dislike, some of them have personalities that you admire, some of them have personalities that bore you to death, and a whole range, a whole mixture, just like any other person. Okay? Someone being attractive to you personally doesn't tell you shit about them. They're just another human being. You're just blinded by your conditioning. If you can learn to engage with people you're attracted to as if they are human beings, you'll start to see that they are. You'll see that physical attractiveness is a distraction. It does not tell you anything about them, and it really has no weight in the future of a long-term connection. Once you get used to the way someone looks, it doesn't dazzle you anymore. So there better be more to them than that if you want this to last more than a few weeks. I have a 5-step solution on dealing with this, and it's a long-term piece of work that will put you in good stead for great connections with people of all varieties for the rest of your life. Number 1, you have to admit it. You have to acknowledge, at least to yourself, that you're all fucked up about people being attractive, that you're obsessed with it, that you prioritize it, that you get all nervous about it. And understand and acknowledge that this is conditioning. You've been trained to view certain people this way. Whatever your preference is for beautiful, you've been taught that by the area you grew up in, by the culture you grew up in. Number 2, once you acknowledge this conditioning, you need to acknowledge how seriously you take it. How someone being hot is such a big deal to you. And you have to acknowledge that engaging with them and learning who they are with curiosity, trying to find out who they are as a human, is how you're going to desensitize yourself and stop taking physical attractiveness so seriously. Thirdly, and this is the tough part, you are going to have to act honestly on your desire. You're going to have to risk being seen as shallow. One example that kept coming up with my clients and in my own life is guys who get into social dancing, zouk or salsa, any of that partner style dancing. And they'll go to the dance class or they'll go to the social event and they'll deliberately only dance with girls they don't find attractive. They won't dance with the hot girls. And they do this to show everybody of how noble they are and how they don't care about looks. And this is a lie, because you'd rather dance with the girl you find attractive. It's as simple as that. And you might be ashamed of that and other people may judge you for it, but you're not going to be able to deal with that properly unless you follow through on it and start to learn that you're living in an illusion. So if you're in the dance class, go dance with the girl you find attractive. Follow your desire. Go talk to the girl at the party you're attracted to. You can say, I like the way you look. You need to become okay with this fucked up conditioning that you've got before you can deal with it. Number 4, once you start following your desire, start spreading out the range and deliberately interacting with a range of people, both attractive and unattractive by your judgment. Start to behave as if all humans are the same to you. They're all equal potential of value. They could all be a good fit. You don't know which one it's going to be. It's behaving as if you've been hypnotized into seeing people based on their appearance and you're blinded to who they actually are, which is pretty close to the truth. And so you're going to have to just interact with everybody to figure out who's actually a good fit. We can see evidence, for example, in the courtroom that somebody who's deemed as sociably attractive gets lenient sentences compared to those who aren't. We're all blinded by this thing. You know, we're putting criminals out on the streets simply because they look good. You've got to go to a party or a social event and think, I don't actually know what people are like. I just guess based on their appearance. I need to go and correct myself. So speak to a broad range of people. Men, women, old, young, attractive, not attractive, interesting, boring looking. Assume you're wrong and go find out the truth. And number 5, the 5th level you might say, once you've got this going on, once you're the kind of person who socializes with everyone, giving no preference necessarily to someone who's attractive, but not avoiding them either, just acknowledging how you feel about everyone. Once you're there, start looking closely for the good in people beyond their appearance and try to recognize them for it. Get really curious about someone. Let's say you meet someone who's very beautiful to you physically. Ask yourself, what else? What else have they got going on? Explore their hobbies and their dreams and their preferences and their beliefs and their politics and everything. Just try and find, is there anything in them that you admire, anything you find fascinating beyond their looks? And the same goes for people you're not attracted to. Yes, okay, this person doesn't look like someone you want to sleep with right now, but what else? What else do you have in common? What beliefs do they have, and on and on? And try to find this out. Because there's an interesting phenomena. You will find people more physically attractive the better you get to know them and the more you like them personally. And vice versa. Somebody who's originally physically attractive to you might become repulsive physically to you if their personality really jives with your values. So imagine you've been brainwashed and act accordingly. I swear I had to go through all of this myself. I used to be obsessed with appearance when it came to women. And I was just so wrong. I was wrong in two ways. I think they're either stuck up and snobby, they thought they were better than people, or I thought they were actually better than people. They're goddesses that need to be worshipped. What I found time and time again as I got to know them is that they're just people. They're a range. Some of them are dicks. Some of them are amazingly awesome. Some of them are kind of interesting. Some of them are a bit too much like me for me to get along with them. And on and on and on. I came to realize the truth. Someone's physical appearance tells me nothing about them. Okay, maybe their hygiene tells me a little bit. But generally, my attraction to bone structure, skin tone, fashion, I've been taught all that. And it's blinding me to the truth of who the really beautiful people are. Thank you for having the courage and the humility to watch this video. I definitely want to hear what you thought of it, so put your comments below and subscribe to the channel or share it around if you liked it. And if any of you are really struggling with your dating life or your love life because you have some messed up beliefs around women and some fears and social insecurities, get in touch. I can help you with this if you're willing to change your views. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.